And so today we're going further together by digging deep. Dig deep. So I had this experience yesterday. I start working on the sermon like the beginning of the week. And I'm like alert for like signs and messages and all those things. But most often what happens is I get a download. I get a download early in the morning when you're still in between like kind of waking up but not fully awake, right? And so the download came through looking at going further together in another way, right? And I got curious about the word together, right? Because when we think about together, we think about collectively together. That's what we've been talking about all month. But when we dig deep, the together also is about together as ourselves, right? That all aspects of ourselves is together, is in the wholeness, right? And we can go further together when we know and we trust that we are together, right? Anyone ever said to you, you need to get your life together? Right? Yes, we do. We need to get our lives together, right? And the origin of the word together is to gather, to gather. And I often say to myself when I'm feeling like a little unsettled, I say, go gather up all of you and go sit down and be still, right? Go gather her up. There she is wandering around, right? Looking for the root. Go gather, right? Because when I'm in the wholeness, I can go further, right? I could use my knowingness, my navigating system to go further. So in the newsletter this month, I had shared a Mongolian proverb that said, if you want to build high, you must go deep. If you want to build high, you must go deep. So think about, really tall buildings, skyscrapers, right? The foundation has to be deep in order to hold that structure, right? So the higher up they want to build, the deeper they have to go. The same with us. The same with us. We want to go higher in consciousness. We need to go deeper within the essence of who we are, right? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. It also made me think about, like, I used to love movies and cartoons about looking for treasure, right? And we used to play that when I was little, like treasure map, right? Or scavenger hunts. And you would get these clues and you would go looking for the treasure. And so when you think about digging for treasure or looking for treasure or wanting to find the treasure, is the treasure usually there where you can see it? No. Where's the treasure usually? It's hidden, it's buried, right? You got to do some work to bring it out to the surface, right? And usually, if you're digging for treasure and you have your shovel, it's usually not one shovel and there it is, right? Usually you see pictures of people deep in the hole, right? Mounds of dirt around them as they are looking for the treasure. So the same is for us. It's time to go beneath the surface. It's time to look beyond that which we see around ourselves and to go deeper, right? And when they dig for the treasure, are they using a spoon? No, it'll take forever. They're using a shovel. They're using their tools. They're using the right tools for the right job, right? And so we have our spiritual tools that we can use to dig deeper, right? So that we can go higher in consciousness, so that we can go further together. Yes? So Gary Zukav, I love Gary Zukav, and one of my favorite books is Seat of the Soul. And he said in Seat of the Soul that the seat of the soul doesn't reside at the surface. It is positioned at the depths of who we truly are. So we have to do some digging to get to the seat of the soul. And it's there. It's always there. It's never not going to be there, right? That treasure that we are, the treasure that has our name on it. But we have to take action. If someone's looking for treasure, do they just sit and say, oh, I really want some treasure. Let me just think about digging for some treasure. Will they get to the treasure? No. So we have to be engaged, right? In the process of digging deeper, right? We have to participate in it. And it's a journey, right? We might hit some rocks that we have to remove, right? We get tired, right? And sometimes when we get tired, what do? When we've been digging within ourselves, seeking to access the treasure, our gifts, and we don't see it. It's been 40 years I've been digging. How much longer am I gonna have to dig, right? And then we give up. We might turn back, right, to that which is comfortable and that which is familiar. But I want to encourage us today to keep moving forward. Because when we stop and we go back, sometimes we're this close to that treasure, right? One of my favorite stories in the Bible when I was little, because I was just fascinated with the whole prospect of this actually happening. And then I realized, oh, this is a story. Right? The story of Lot's wife. You know that story? So I'll just tell you quickly. So angels came and told Lot to take his wife and their two daughters and flee their city, Sodom, right? And at first Lot didn't want to go. And long story short, he winds up going, leaving with his wife and his two daughters. And the angels told them, go up into the mountains, leave this plain, right? Leave the valley and go up into the mountains and you'll be safe. But if you stay, you're gonna burn with the city, right? And then the angel told them something really, really important. When you go, don't look back. Don't look back. And what did Lot's wife do? She looked back. And what happened to her? Yes, she turned into a pillar of salt. Now, as a child, I was very curious about this. Like, what does that look like, to turn into a pillar of salt? But we know the metaphysical meaning, right? The looking back is about the past. The looking back is about limiting thoughts and beliefs, right? That's what the pillar of salt represents. The crystallization beliefs is the salt, right? So what she turned to was her limiting beliefs. She looked back. And because she looked back, because she gave up, because she was believing that which was not the truth, she couldn't move forward, right? And so that's what we do sometimes. We go back. We go back to that which is familiar. We go back to what we already know has kind of sort of been working. I could kind of sort of maybe do this a little longer. Maybe it's not that bad. You start to convince yourselves, right? I know I do. I just had the experience of this for myself, of going back, right? Of going back. I accepted a position a couple of months ago. Not this one, y'all. No, this is my treasure. This right here is my treasure, right? So I had accepted this, I'm many years I've been doing human resources and nonprofit organizations. And I accepted this position to build their HR capacity, to build their department. And I've done this many times. And I said, yeah, I could do that. I could do that, right? And so I get in there and I'm doing my thing. And all along, I feel unease. I just feel unease. And I know what it feels like in my body, and most times we do. For me, it feels like a tightening around my chest, as if someone's pressing on me. And I feel it in my belly, like just an upsetness in my belly. But I kept pressing on, right? Kept pressing on, going back. And the further back I went, then I started having like restless sleep. I would go to sleep, but I would wake up feeling exhausted, right? Anyone can relate to that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I started literally pulling the covers over my head, literally. And I said, you know what, Melissa, you've been here before. You know where this is going. Are you going to continue? Or are you going to make a decision and a choice that is in alignment with your dream, with your gift, with your treasure? Are you going to dig deep and do what you know you need to do? And so, after prayer, after getting my shovel and digging deep, and the thing about making decisions and making a choice, using those two things as a tool to dig deep is very powerful. I always remember Michael Bernard Beckwith saying this about decision and choice, because sometimes we think it's the same thing, right? But decision is about what it is that you need to release, what it is that you need to let go of, what it is that you might need to cut out of your life, to make a decision about that so that you can invite that which is waiting patiently for you to make that decision can come through. And then choice is the state of consciousness that you make that decision from, right? So I could have made that decision about what am I going to do from a state of consciousness of fear, right? Oh my God, what am I going to do, right? If I stay, I'll get all this money, I'll have benefits, all of these things, right? And all of that is lovely, right? But what I also know is that since 2020, I've been saying and affirming that God is my source, that God is my source. So I need to make a decision from that state of consciousness, to choose from that state of consciousness, to choose from a state of consciousness of faith and trust. And so I did. So I resigned from it. I did. I dug deep, Amy. I had to really go within myself and have faith and have faith, right? To walk in the talk. If I've been saying God is my source, it's easy to say that, right? But to be in the walk of that is a whole nother level of going deeper into the truth of who we are. So when we dig deep, when we want to go there, when we're at a point at that intersection, a lot of times we feel like we're at a crossroads, right? And we're like, which way do I go? And oftentimes we ask those around us what they think we should do. And I'll tell you something about asking folks around you what you should do. Check in to see if they're together. Right? Seek counsel from people who are together, right? Who are living their life in the wholeness and not in the pieces, right? And that takes discernment. That takes knowing your community, right? And then trust the answer that comes. I'm not one to do pros and cons anymore. I used to do that too, especially when I was dating. I don't do those lists anymore. I have a list that is totally about what brings me joy. And then when I'm making a decision about, is this something I should, and let me tell you, I did not do that with this job, okay? So it was a lesson learned for me. I look at my list of joy, right? I do this every year. I make a list of everything that I would like to experience, not how I want to experience. The very first thing on my list is I work as joy. And then when something comes, look at the list. Does it meet the criteria of my joy list or not? And make my choice from the consciousness of joy, right? So I did this for 2021, and I always titled them. And I'll share this. When I accepted the position, the CEO would often say to me, I want you to win, Melissa. We gotta win. And for some reason, every time she said that to me, I would feel like, oh, right? And I couldn't explain, like, what is that, right? And I have my list. I always title it. When I lost my list, it's like, you know, we get messages, right? When we're paying attention. So you know, I went to Oregon. I went to Oregon for a sacred soul retreat, living your life's purpose. I had my list with me because it's part of my spiritual practice. When I got back, I couldn't find my list. Only thing I needed to do was print it out again, but I didn't, right? So now I'm going to this job. I don't have my list. I'm not reading my list, right? I decide that this is not for me. In the conversation, I said, I'm not gonna win here because this is not for me. It's not for me, right? And after that, I said, you know what, let me print out the list because I don't know what I did with it. I print out the list. Do you know what I called the list? I called the list the year of winning. I said, well, look at God. This is what I'm going to win with. This joy list. This is what I get to dig in with. This is what keeps me together. This is what helps me go further together, and then together with all of you. That's how we get to dig in. And I tell you, it was not an easy thing to do. And I'll tell you, it is what I needed to do for myself, for the seed of my soul, trusting that God is my source. You know what happened the next day? I got a new coaching client and I got a speaking engagement the very next day. Now, come on now. Come on now. And you know what? If that had not happened, I still would have trusted God. Yes? Yes, yes. So we're not Lot's wife. We're not looking back. We are moving forward to that mountaintop because we know the mountain represents our higher consciousness. It represents our higher consciousness. So we have an opportunity to use the tools of decision and choice as we dig in. We also have the opportunity to use the tools of acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. So I was led to, has anyone read this? Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. Yeah, it was very popular, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. So I was led to this last night. And I just want to share what he says about these three aspects. Acceptance. Acceptance means, for now, this is what the situation is. This moment requires me to do so. And so I do it willingly. Performing an action in the state of acceptance means you are at peace while you do it. I was not in acceptance. I did not feel peace. But at some point, I got to acceptance, right? I got to acceptance. And that peace, that subtle energy vibration is consciousness. And one of the ways in which it enters the world is through, what was our intention this morning, Janet? Surrender. Through surrender. Through surrendered action. One aspect of which is acceptance. So when we say we are going to surrender, we're in acceptance of what is. Don't ignore what is, right? If you can neither enjoy or bring acceptance to what you do, stop. Stop. So we dig with acceptance. Then we dig with enjoyment. Through enjoyment, you link into the universal creative power itself. When you make the present moment, instead of past and future, the focal point of your life, your ability to enjoy what you do, and with it, the quality of your life increases dramatically. Joy is the dynamic aspect of being. When the creative power of the universe becomes conscious of itself, it manifests as joy. I love that. I love that. So we can dig with enjoyment too. We don't have to suffer through the digging, y'all. Put that suffering shovel down. And then dig with enthusiasm. One of my favorite words is enthusiasm. And enthusiasm means one with the divine or to be possessed by God. Oh, I like that. Be possessed by the Spirit, right? Enthusiasm means there is a deep enjoyment in what you do, plus the added element of a goal or a vision that you work towards. When you add a vision to the enjoyment of what you do, the energy field or vibrational frequency changes. The only thing that changes is you. You have to change first. And then it just ripples out, right? You're meeting that vibration, right? We're not creating it, it already is. It already is. Some of us struggle and suffer because we think we got to create stuff. It's already created. We just align ourselves with the vibration of it. Tune into that, right? And that tuning in happens from within, not from the external, not from anyone else but you. It starts with you, right? So you're ready to dig in, to dig deep, to do what is yours to do. And we like to say that, I'm going to do what's mine to do, but it's so true to make a decision about this is mine or this is not mine to do. And to make that decision from a state of consciousness where you are choosing to walk in faith, not by sight. Yes? Oh, yeah. So when we dig deep, we free ourselves. We free ourselves because we know that it is the truth of who we are. And what do we know about the truth? The truth sets you free. Guaranteed. So don't give up. Don't give up. Keep digging in every day. Every day. Dig in. Dig in. Because there is a treasure with your name on it. And so it is. So let's just go with it. I was so inspired. I was sharing with Rhonda that I came across this song by Dietrich Haddon yesterday. And it's called My Soul Says Yes. And so I'm familiar with the traditional song, My Soul Says Yes. I grew up in that song when I was in the Pentecostal church. And I came upon Dietrich's version. So I don't know if you're familiar with Dietrich Haddon. He's in the same vibration as like Kirk Franklin with gospel music, right? He's like, kind of like hip hop gospel, kind of, And so he has a song called My Soul Says Yes. And these are the only lyrics in the song. It's about 2 minutes. My soul says yes. Yes to your will and your way. My soul says yes. Something within me, it agrees. My soul says yes. There's something within us that agrees, that is in agreement. So we go within. And so I was inspired by Ernest Holmes and by that song. And so I want to share this spiritual mind treatment. I am filled with inexhaustible energy of life. I am filled with limitless enthusiasm for living. There is a deep calm at the center of my being, which is undisturbed, which is forever at peace with the universe around me. I know that the power of good will prevail, and it is being activated now in my mind and in the mind of each one present to the sound of my voice. There is a divine pattern of freedom, protection, and cooperation for all of us. We live in the buoyancy of spirit. There are no doubts in our consciousness. Fear cannot operate through me. Fear cannot operate through you. We are alive with life, with joy, and continuously upheld by a deep, unshakable conviction that there is a presence and a power and an intelligence in the universe, which is working out a perfect pattern that is our life. So I dig in. We dig in the acceptance of peace, the enjoyment as joy, and in the enthusiasm of love. because something within me agrees. My soul says yes. Life agrees with me as an opening for more abundance, love, harmony, peace, and perfect health. I dig in with my mind, my heart, and my spirit. The treasure is recovered again, and all of our needs are met because God is our source, our supply, and our substance. So we are resourced by the source, and its supply is unlimited, eternally flowing through and as each one of us. So I name it, I claim it. Claim your treasure now, for it is within is where the treasure is. And as we know that this treasure is ours to open, is ours to share, we go further together. We go further, and the we is greater than me. We go further as a divine community of whole people because we live in the wholeness and not in the pieces. And with great gratitude, I take my shovel and I go in, I go deep, and I am surrounded by people who are doing the same. For they are here at Rockland CSL. And so we dig together, we love together, we celebrate together, we know the truth together. And I release this into the law, knowing that it cannot return void, knowing that it returns in the overflow of love, harmony, peace, and joy. And so it is. Amen.